Novak Djokovic narrowly avoids Australian Open disqualification after angry outburst. Novak Djokovic lost his temper during his Australian Open third-round match against Dutchman Botic van de Zandschulp and came perilously close to being disqualified midway through the second set. Djokovic was control of the match after taking the first set, and van de Zandschulp appeared to be close to retiring from the match as he struggled with a shoulder problem and was being treated by the tournament trainer. Yet he battled on and fought back from 3-0 down, with his recovery clearly annoying 10-time Australian Open champion. After his opponent missed a shot, Djokovic lashed out and smashed the ball in anger that flew past the ball kid at the net at high speed. If the ball had taken a slightly different path, Djokovic would have almost certainly have been thrown out of a second Grand Slam tournament of his colorful career. Djokovic infamously hit a linesperson at the 2020 US Open, and it seems that incident has not taught him a lesson, and this incident in Melbourne could have been a repeat almost 6 years later. "Oh my goodness," said former British number 1 Tim Henman as he watched the incident unfold in his role as a TNT sports correspondent. Commentator Nick Lester and Henman then suggested Djokovic would not be having an eye contact with the chair umpire after a near miss that could have ended what may be his final attempt to win a remarkable 11th Australian Open title. Djokovic's hopes of winning in Melbourne have been dismissed by tennis legend John McEnroe, but former British number 1 Greg Rusedski suggests it is wrong to write off the most successful male tennis player of all time. "I thought it was really interesting to hear McEnroe's comments that he doesn't feel Novak can beat Alcaraz and Sinner back-to-back," said Rusedski on an episode of his Off Court Cuts podcast. "We all feel that, but boy was he good in his opening round, and let's look at one statistic. 100 wins down under in Australia, and he has done that in 3 of the 4 slams. The only one he hasn't done is in the US Open. 400 wins at majors. Most people don't do that on all of the tournaments they play. Don't discount Novak if he can move through the rounds easily." Everyone was talking about his neck being a little bit sore and asking whether he would be healthy enough, but he knows how to manage his body. That's why he's the GOAT. At the age of 38, he's playing better than 97 or 98 of the players in the top 100 in the world. It was an impressive opener and he saved a lot of energy. With Novak, he's talking big. He's had an incredible record down in Australia, so don't ever discount a great legend. Djokovic's incident-packed match against van de Zandschulp took another turn as he suffered an injury scare after a tumble in the third set. Melbourne Park, a cauldron of heat, noise, pressure, and expectation. It is where champions are made, and sometimes, where they are unmade. The Australian Open is more than a tennis tournament. It is a test of physical endurance, psychological resilience, and emotional control. Every January, under the blazing Australian sun, the world's greatest players convene not just to compete, but to prove something to themselves. On this particular afternoon, a hush had settled over Wroclaw Arena. Novak Djokovic, the Serbian maestro, one of the most decorated tennis athletes in history, was engaged in a tense third-round duel against Dutch competitor Botic van de Zandschulp. Djokovic had taken the first set and looked in control. Yet tennis, like life, is full of twists. Van de Zandschulp, despite struggling with a shoulder issue, mounted a fight back that visibly tested Djokovic's composure. To the uninitiated, tennis might seem like a polished sport of rhythmic forehands and graceful footwork, but those who watch closely know that beneath each exchange of blows lies a current of emotion, a pressure cooker of adrenaline, pride, and the fear of failure. Bullseye 2. The outburst, a moment on the edge. At a pivotal moment in the second set, Djokovic missed a shot, a rare lapse in precision. Frustration fled. He struck the next ball with violent force, not toward a target on the far side of the court, but out of pure, raw emotion. The ball shot forward and soared past a ball kid standing at the net. Time seemed to freeze. For players, ball kids are integral to the rhythm of the game, fetching balls, maintaining pace, and serving as silent partners in the orchestration of a match. They are volunteers, often teenagers. They're in support of the sport they love. To see one nearly struck, not as a result of a tactical play but from the eruption of a champion's anger, sent ripples through the arena. Had the ball taken just a slightly lower trajectory, or veered a few inches in another direction, Djokovic would almost certainly have been disqualified immediately. According to Grand Slam regulations, hitting a ball dangerously or with anger outside the reasonable pursuit of play can trigger an automatic default, meaning a player would be removed from the tournament on the spot. But this time, luck and timing intervened. No ball kid was hit, and the match continued. Yet for a moment, Djokovic's fate hung by a thread, and with it, the story of his 2026 Australian Open campaign. 3. The psychology of anger in elite sport. To understand why this outburst matters, we have to look deeper than the surface act itself. At face value, hitting a ball in frustration is a lapse in discipline. But for a player like Djokovic, it speaks to something more complex, the internal conflict between perfectionism and vulnerability. Novak Djokovic has built his career on mental fortitude. He is renowned for his ability to neutralize pressure, to claw back from the brink, and to outwit his rivals not just physically but psychologically. Yet, at 38 years old, an age when many peers have already retired, he remains locked in battle against younger opponents, the body's wear and tear, and the relentless expectations of legacy. Emotion in sport is never just emotion. It is performance chemistry, a cocktail of pressure, expectations, identity, and fray. When Djokovic lost his cool, it was not merely anger. It was frustration at imperfection, at falling short of his own standards. In that bold strike, you see the tension between brilliance and fallibility. 4. A history of high stakes, high emotions. This was not Djokovic's first brush with the emotional edge of competitive tennis. In 2020, he was disqualified from the US Open after unintentionally hitting a line judge with a tennis ball during an outburst, a moment that abruptly ended his campaign and became one of the most striking incidents in modern tennis history. That moment, like this recent near default, revealed an essential truth. Tennis players are human beings first, athletes second. Under immense pressure, emotions can surge in ways that challenge even the most disciplined minds. But unlike the US Open incident, where consequences were abrupt and unavoidable, this time Djokovic escaped without disqualification. The match continued, and he pressed on, determined to control the narrative. 5. The match unfolds, triumph and trauma.